What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you my weekly Tokyo Ghoul chapter review on Chapter 49. This is the first year anniversary of Tokyo Ghoul. So if you were unaware of it, and you haven't seen the video I made last night, yeah, today, or this chapter, signifies the 1 year anniversary of how long Tokyo Ghoul has been running. And it's an incredible feat, and it makes me happy to see how Ishida, even since the first chapter of Tokyo Ghoul he has not calmed down. He continues to go further and further with his characters, and he hasn't stopped at all, especially with this chapter. Like, he definitely celebrated this chapter of Tokyo Ghoul by giving us a lot of blood, a lot of carnage, a lot of deaths, and a lot of underlying meaning that we know from Tokyo Ghoul. So I'm just gonna say, this video might not be long, it could be long, I don't know, it might be short, might be long, I have no idea, but I do have a lot of stuff to cover, and since this is the 1 year anniversary, I really want to dive in and talk about a lot of different details about this chapter, because there's some really cool things to be discovered with this chapter that really foreshadows a lot of upcoming events, but also concretes what we should expect in the future. So, as per usual, I'm going to be starting off from the first page of Tokyo Ghoul I'm going to be breaking down panel by panel, going through the panels, talking about it, and then I will get to certain points, I'll probably stop and then, like, talk about, like, a big, massive amount of details about a certain segment. So, anyways, the chapter of Tokyo Ghoul chapter 49, we move over to Noro versus Ito and the Quinkex squad. And this right here is the fight I wanted to see the most. Even though I want to see what's going on with Shu and Heise right now, I still want to know what's going on with Noro, because Noro, he has a lot of mystery around him. I mean, there's been all this mystery that's been building up around Eto and Noro, and how Noro's like a detachable Kagune, and then, you know, how Noro's very different, and then how Eto's different. You know, so many different things we've gotten in these past, like, 10 chapters, and so seeing Noro getting the spotlight, it goes to show you what type of direction Ishida-sensei is trying to take the manga at the moment, trying to finally give us some details about Noro and Eto, and so with the chapter, I expected to find something out. So let's see. So, right off the bat, you see it to where the different squads, Ito squad and the Quinkex squad, they're trying to figure out, okay, where are they going to be stationed at? Like, are they going to be guarding the back? Are they going to be in the middle? Are they going to be on the front lines? How are they going to fight this creature? And when you have it to where Urei, he's thinking in his mind, it's itching to come at us, and then he's like, this is a big shot, no doubt about it. That's what Mutsuki is thinking. So, that right there goes to show you what type of opponent they're facing. Like, they realize for this dude to just be popping up out of nowhere, holding off down, like, on this one floor, and he just appears, and then he's just standing there like he's not scared, you know that this dude is strong to be able to do something like that. But also, moving on past that, if you look closely, the next page, page 3, you see Noro go on the attack. And this page is a perfect representation of what this chapter has in store for us. When I saw this panel, and I see Noro just rushing behind Ito squad and the Quinkex children, and he just goes behind him and attacks the people in the back that was supposed to defend behind him, you know this dude doesn't give no fucks about who's coming at him. So here's the first thing we need to wonder. Why? Why did Noro attack the people in the back? Why? This is the first thing you need to wonder, because if you look at this panel, you can get quite a few things from it from no dialogue. For one thing, you see it to where Ito and, you know, the frontliners, pretty much just the frontliners, that's what I'm going to call them, the frontliners on this fight against Noro, they're rushing in, and as you can see, they try to slice at Noro. They slice at him. And then all of a sudden, Noro, he's just moving, and he goes around. His Kagune comes out from where his feet is. He goes around. It's like his own Kagune is dragging him, which I'll get into that in just a second. His own Kagune is dragging him, and he attacks the people in the back of the squad. So what does this mean? Like, what can you get out of this? Well, for one, that means that Noro doesn't give a shit about the frontliners. That's the first thing. Number two, Noro is pretty much implying that I'm fast, you guys are slow. And number three, I can take you guys out no matter the distance. That is also what you can get from that. So Noro's pretty much saying, no matter the numbers you have against me, I have the dominance in this fight. I can attack your guy in the back like it's nothing, and I can get around your frontliners like you're a piece of shit. So that goes to show you what Noro was trying to do, what he was trying to imply with this fight. Don't think you guys can, you know, underestimate me just because you have, like, 10 people versus 1. So yeah, that's a perfect way just to set up this battle and realize what they're getting into. And that one face, though, Shirazu does, like, he looks around, he's like, what the fuck? Like, he looks around, you see his fucking Kagune, it's coming out of his back. Like, it's not even completely out of his back. And that's how fast Noro was when attacking this dude in the back. So, moving past that, let's get into the next page. So, the next page, Shirazu, he's just freaking out. He's looking above him. He sees this dude that was attacking behind him. He's just a bloody mess. You just see his hand, hand just falling. You see his head. You see his lower half just collapsing down. And Shirazu gets this blood on his face, and he looks up. This is probably very traumatizing, because we do know Shirazu currently, he's going through his own mental issues right now when it comes to Nuts, and then also how it had a correlation with his sister, with what, Nuts was trying to say about how she wanted that dress. It goes to show you right here what type of mental state this might put Shirazu in the future after this fight, if he does survive this fight, so to say, because it's not even said and done yet if any of them are going to survive this fight. Now, right after that, you have it to where Psycho, she starts looking at this Kagune, this Kagune that just devoured this guy. And the first thing I want to take note of, okay, is the Kagune Noro is using. I should have said it in the last page, but I'll say it here. What's very odd about this is how Noro was being dragged by his Kagune. Like, if you look at his fighting style, his Kagune doesn't come out the normal way as other ghouls. It comes out of his feet. And it looked like his Kagune had, like, a life of its own. Like, it was just controlling itself and attack people. And then if you look closely with how the fighting is, usually how Noro attacks people with his Kagune, it looks like it's eating them, like it's just fucking eating and devouring them up with the Kagune. And the reason for this might be because Noro is a detachable Kagune. Now, I have done Furies on this before, and I know there is some that believe it, and I know there are some that deny it. But you cannot deny that Noro is a huge mystery, especially with what he does in this chapter. It's very unnatural for a ghoul, and him being a detachable Kagune makes a lot of sense, especially with him being dragged around by his own Kagune. It might imply that Eto drags him around because he's a Kagune. You get the point where that's trying to imply. So now that I've got that explained, let's move over to Psycho. So Psycho, she stares up at Noro, and first thing, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, oh, fuck. I was really scared for Psycho, because she, if you did not know, Psycho is one of my favorites. Besides Shu from part 1, Psycho is one of my favorite characters in Ri right now. She is personally one of my favorites, and I think one of my favorite female characters in Tokyo Ghoul. So, seeing this, I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is really fucking bad, because I had flashbacks to what the doctor said in, the previous chapters, when he's like, oh, he doesn't matter if they're dead or alive, he wants to experiment with the bodies of the Quinkhex children. So that's kind of bad. That's really bad. So I started thinking of that, and I'm like, oh shit, it's not good. So I get to the next page, and all of a sudden I see Ure. Ure, of all people. Ure. He says, Yonebayashi, dodge. Dodge! Not a Team 4-star reference, by the way, but still. Ure says, dodge. And as soon as I saw this, I'm like, Ure, I've given you a lot of shit. I have given you a lot of shit. I won't deny that. But I cannot deny you are a fucking bro in this chapter. You saved Best Girl. Well, my Best Girl. You saved Psycho, yelled at her, caused her to move. Even though she didn't completely get out of the way, she was given enough time to be able to get out of the way. So to see that, Ure, good job, bro. Ure, I respect you a lot more now. I mean, you're still one of my least favorite characters, but still, after this, I gotta start looking at you differently now after this chapter. I mean, the improvements he's made is pretty damn good, but seeing this right here of how he saved her, and he didn't even care, like, you don't even see an inner thoughts in his mind. Like, you don't even hear him, like, making fun of Psycho. Like, usually how he does, like, oh, she's slow or stupid, or, just different things he says in his mind. Like, there was no delay between this. Like, I'm going back to the previous page. You see it to where all of a sudden Shirazu's looking up, and then all of a sudden Psycho looks up, and then as soon as after that, he's just yelling at Psycho. Ure, of all people, yells at Psycho to dodge or run. GG. Ure. You get a clap. You get a clap. You get a clap. You get a clap. Ure, fucking good job. I say you, good job. So yeah, Psycho gets saved just in the nick of time thanks to Urei shouting out, because if Urei probably didn't say what he said and say dodge, she might have kicked into the bucket 6 feet under. Like, she's done. So I'm glad Urei said that. Okay, so next page, you see Dora Psycho's freaking out. She's like, thanks! And you just see how her eyes are all watering up. Like, she realized that she was about to fucking die. Like, she was almost GG. And to see that is pretty cute. But I'm glad she got out of that entire mess, which leads into something that's crazy in the next couple of pages. Now, this is what Urei says in his mind after what he said to Psycho, which leads me to respect him a lot more. He's like, what are you doing, idiots? That's what he says. And I'm assuming he's saying that to Psycho. And then in his mind, he's like, that was close. So him saying that, also another good line from Urei. It shows that he has concern for someone else's life. Even though he put up a front, like he's like, what are you doing, you idiot? But in his mind, he's like, that was close. That is the complete opposite of Urei. Urei shows that he does care. Fucking great. Okay, so Noro comes back for the attack, and Urei just comes out and is like, wham! Fucking yo! Okay. Like I said, I know I give Urei shit, but I can't put the man down when he does some epic shit one after another. He saves Psycho, he says that stuff in his mind, and then he cuts Noro. Damn, he cuts fucking Noro and saves them. Amazing. Okay, and then all of a sudden you have it to where he's like, pin it down, Mutsuki. And then Mutsuki's like, Roger. And then all of a sudden you see Shirazu, he's launching his Kagune at Noro. Noro gets hit, of course, and you see his like arm getting all messed up. And I mean, if this would have been like a normal ghoul, that would have kind of been very bad. That would have been very bad because you have to take some time to regenerate. And as you see that going on, though, Psycho starts like twitching up, like you see her spazzing or something. Like you see this weird body movement of Psycho, and then all of a sudden, this giant-ass Kagune comes out of Psycho and cuts Noro clean in half. Okay, so this is one of the segments that are going to be one of the main beef, or the main points I want to talk about when it comes to this chapter, because there is a lot of meaning about this Kagune that Psycho just showed us that many might overlook. For one thing, I mentioned a couple chapters back, and a long time ago actually, how it might be Kaneki's Kagune inside him, or Kakuho inside of Psycho. Like, that could be what's going on with Psycho. But now looking at this, it seems to be correct, but also there's something else going on just besides the Kakuho being inside of Psycho. Okay, this picture. I'm looking at the panel right now with the Kagune coming out of the back of Psycho. This Kagune has been shown once before, but we've never really visually seen it. Like, we know it activated one point or time before against Nuts, but we never got to see it. Ashita cut that out, and we were not allowed to see it for whatever reason is the case. So, which implied that there's something very different, something very strong, and something that is out of the ordinary when it comes to Psycho. And seeing this, now I understand why, because this would have really how can I put it? Okay, so Urei, as we know, he opened up some frames. Like, he broke down some frames to be able to get a stronger Kagune and be able to access his ghoul strength a lot better. We know about this. Urei wanted to do that. And that's what he's been experimenting with recently. And as we know, if you break these frames, you have a bigger chance of never being able to go back to being a human. And that's kind of the risk it takes when you break down frames. But also, I mentioned once before, if you break down these frames, it might be possible you can get ROS disease. Like, if you have so many frames broken, and since the Kakuho is not really yours, and you're not really a ghoul yet, and you don't really have the same Kakugan in your eye and stuff, it might imply that you could get ROS, or die from an excessive amount of RC cells inside of your body. And when I see this Kagune come out of Psycho, the size of it, like, many will not look at this and just probably overlook it, but the size of this Kagune is fucking gigantic. It is gigantic. Look at Psycho's body. Yes, Psycho's short, but she's not that short. Like, she's not a fucking 3-foot tall person. She's average. And if you look at the size and scale of this Kagune, it is bigger than Psycho. It's more freaking... the width is insane as well. And then the way it has that reach, that long reach, too, to attack Noro. It's long, it's thick. Not a sexual joke. I know where that's going. I'm sorry about that, but you know what I'm getting at. The point is that this Kagune is unnatural. It's unnatural for its size. Especially if she has frames up. Like, if she has the same amount of frames up like Urei had before he started breaking them down, I'm scared to see what Psycho is going to be like if she broke down as many frames as Urei. But let's just say that it might be possible that Psycho already has broken down frames. That could be a possibility as well. But let's get off of that and let's look at another core segment I want to really point at. For one thing that we need to also look at is that Psycho was one of the Quinkx children that had the highest compatibility rate. As we know, when it came to the surgery, she had the highest compatibility. So it might imply, since she had such a high compatibility rate for the surgery, that is why her Kagune is so gigantic, or why it's so superior compared to everyone else. It is because she has a higher compatibility rate. Now, what does this mean exactly, higher compatibility rate? Like, why? If I had to assume, it has something to do with genetics. If we look at the previous 10 chapters or so, Ashita has been using a lot of genetics, to mutations, to evolution. He's been using a lot of this type of stuff. So I wouldn't put it past Ashita if it had to play in some form of genetics with Psycho's family slowly or gradually evolving into ghouls. In some way, getting closer to the line of ghouls. I could see how that might, I guess, mess with the compatibility rating. And seeing this, yeah, I wonder though if Psycho's frames are broken down though. If they are, it's going to be fucking ridiculous. I mean, if they aren't broken down, that's going to be ridiculous. So now that I've got that, let's talk about the meaning of the Kagune now. Now that I've talked about the size, the width, I've talked about how different it is and how strong it is, let's talk about the meaning of it now. Now, this is probably the part you all are really wondering about, because I showed a picture on Twitter earlier about this right here, this entire Kagune, but also like a weird bug-looking thing on the side. And many were questioning me like, okay, what the hell is this? Like, what is that? So I'm about to reveal what that is. If you want to see the picture for yourself, it's on my Twitter. I have the picture there with, Psycho's Kagune showing alongside of what I'm about to mention. Okay, so first things first, I can't really pronounce the name, but it's called Caterpillar Fungus. Like, that's the simpler version of the name. I will have the link to this in the description for you can see for yourself, for you can read it and find out more details. Maybe you might find out more stuff than I could at the time. But what I'm talking about is a caterpillar fungus. Now, you're probably wondering, oh shit, Chibi's getting into fungus again. Oh fuck. If you remember on chapter 32, I talked about flowers and fungus. And I want to mention something real quick. If you go back to chapter 32 of Tokyo Ghoul, go back to chapter 32, and you get to the part where the fungus is mentioned, Sasuke and Kaneki, they mention the caterpillar fungus. The ghost moth. Yeah. So Ashita had this in mind all along about what Psycho's Kagune was going to look like. And that's why he did not show it. Because if he would have showed it, it would have ruined the surprise. Or the entire dialogue with Sasuke and Kaneki talking with each other about a caterpillar fungus. So you remember how I made a very long video talking about how this fungus might imply that Kaneki is slowly messing with Sasuke and taking over his body, like his mind? Now, I'm not saying that is inaccurate, because that still is the case. We are seeing examples of this happening in recent chapters. But what if Ashita was doing a misleading chapter? Like, he did that to mislead us off of another character, Psycho. Many are looking at Psycho's Kagune right now as a centipede, a baby centipede. And I see it, but I don't see it. Because after comparing these pictures and looking at it, I'm more inclined to believe that Ashita, when he was talking about the caterpillar fungus, he was talking about Psycho. So what is this caterpillar fungus, if you aren't already aware of what I talked about in chapter 32? So this fungus infects a caterpillar, a larva. Okay, here is the line. The fungus consumes its host from the inside out as they hibernate in alpine meadows. Usually the larvae are more vulnerable after shedding their skin during late summer. The fungal fruiting body disperses spores which infect the caterpillar. The infected larvae tend to remain vertical to the soil surface with their heads up. Kind of like how a human has their head straight up. The fungus then germinates in the living larva, kills and mummifies it. And then the stalk-like fruiting body emerges from the head, and the fungus finally emerges from the soil by early spring. So let's go over this. You're probably wondering, okay, what the fuck did you just read, Chibi? Let's look at something that is a very good example. A stalk-like fruiting body emerges from the head, and the fungus finally emerges from the soil by early spring. We are currently in spring. We are currently in spring right now in Tokyo Ghoul. What happened in early spring of Tokyo Ghoul? We saw an example of what happened to Shirazu's sister in the Tokyo Ghoul manga. She had a stalk-like Kagune come out of her head. That's not it either. Let's go down even further, and let's look at this. In late autumn, chemicals on the skin of the caterpillar interact with the fungal spores and release the fungal bacilla, which then infects the caterpillar. So what does this line mean? Well, for one, what happened in autumn, or late autumn, in Tokyo Ghoul? The nuts fight. Psycho fought nuts. The Kagune was not shown. At that time is when we were first indicated that Psycho had a different type of Kagune. And look, let me re-say this once again. In late autumn, chemicals on the skin of the caterpillar interact with the fungal spores and release the fungal bacilla, which then infects the caterpillar. What is this infection? What am I trying to imply? For one, what this means is that the theory I made a while back, multiple chapters ago, about the ROS disease and how it could infect the Quinkx children and kill them slowly because of the frame around the Kakuho, along with how it's leaking out, like a massive amount of RC cells are leaking out in their body, so it might be possible that they could develop ROS. And seeing how this is being said right here about this caterpillar fungus and how it infects its host, what if this fungus is the Kakuho, or the parasite is the Kakuho inside of Psycho, and it is spreading its spores, or its fungus, throughout the body of Psycho, which is RC cells, or ROS disease. And the emerging of the stalk-like object is the caterpillar fungus, for instance, when it comes out of its body. So what if Psycho is going to develop ROS? What if she's going to develop ROS because of this? Because of where Ashida's taking this? Like I said, you can check the pictures for yourself. I'll have them on Twitter. And if you look, yeah, they look exactly the same. So Ashida is implying that Psycho has a Kagune that looks exactly like a caterpillar fungus. Okay, so sorry if the camera angle looks a little bit different than it just did. I had to change my batteries for my camera because my camera was dying, so please forgive me for that. But for now, let's move on to the next segment. So, we move on to page 9. We're on page 9 now of Tokyo Ghoul chapter 49. We see Noro hit the ground. He hits the ground, and all of a sudden you see this weird light structure coming out of his body, which implies that he is starting to regenerate and connect his body back together. Now, from the way it looks, his regeneration is abnormal, which we already know, but Ito, he's like, that is a monstrous regeneration. So he's implying, like, that right there is just unnatural, because he puts himself back together after he was cut in half. He puts his arm back, his other arm, he puts his just body all back together. And if you did not believe that Noro was a detachable Kagune, I think you're being proven wrong right now, because this is unnatural. It's unnatural, because he puts his body back when he was completely sawed in half. And just, it's back. So Noro's regenerative abilities are on a higher level, a way higher level than probably Sasuke or Kaneki, just after what we just witnessed here. So it's kind of scary. And yeah, just Noro once again proving how different he is, and once again helping the Eto Noro theory with the, Noro being a detachable Kagune. Okay, so Ito, or Kuramoto, he gets attacked by Noro, and you see how he kind of barely blocks, and he gets hit back. And he's like, my Quinke! And then all of a sudden, as soon as he says that, he feels his chest. Like, he yells for his weapon, like my Quinke. And when he puts his hand on his chest, and when he feels something, like a clicking sound, and he's like, my rib cage. So what does this imply right here? He did not even realize that his ribs got tore out. He didn't even realize until he felt it. So adrenaline is pumping. Like, there's a lot of adrenaline going on right now with the characters because they're at an all-time high with adrenaline because they're fighting someone that's a monster that can regenerate after something like that should have been a killing blow. That's scary. But then, when you see this, many are going to overlook what this page means with Kuramoto and the ribs popping out of his chest. Now, I mentioned this also on Twitter, and I didn't go into it, but there is biblical symbolism with this panel. Ready for it? What has Eto been trying to do for many chapters now? Think about this. What has Eto kind of been trying to say she is? She's constantly said like she is God, or you can imply that Eto is Satan, or she's Adam, or even Eve. Eto has constantly shown that she is into these biblical references, and she likes playing God, she likes playing Satan, and even Adam. And she is the start of her new race. I've mentioned this before, and I'm not going to get back into that because I have mentioned that many times before. She is the start of her new race, like a hybrid species. And what does this mean in terms of biblical symbolism? What did God take from Adam? There we go. What did God take from Adam in the book of Genesis? He took the rib, a rib from Adam, and gave it to Eve. Now, what have we seen in this chapter? Noro took a rib, or pulled out his ribs, out of his body. Now, want me to know why I thought of this? Go in the past. Go to part 1 of Tokyo Ghoul. Go to Kuro and Shiro. Go to those two when they fought Eto. You remember when Eto first really appeared in the series, and there was so much mystery around her? She appeared, and all of a sudden she went up against Kuro and Shiro, and then she was holding their ribs. You remember that? Eto, her style of fighting, or certain people, I don't know how she targets these certain said people, but she targets certain said people and pulls out ribs. Like what she did with Kuramoto. And the reason for this is because biblical symbolism. Because of how she believes she is God, or how she believes she is Adam. Or, I guess you couldn't really say she's Adam, because she's pulling the ribs out of someone which could be entitled to be Adam. And now this doesn't mean it's just selective gender, because if you think about Kuro and Shiro, they are, you can consider them Eve. And so this ain't just a gender, like, you know, just the male characters having their ribs pulled out. So Eto is fine with doing this also to women. So what is Eto really trying to prove when she does this? Like, what is Eto's motive? That is the first thing we need to wonder. Why does she target certain people and rip out their ribs? Why? Is it because they have something that she needs and wants to give to another? Or is there something about them that she doesn't like? There's many things, I wonder. Because when Eto rips out, or I mean when God takes a rib from Adam, he made Eve with the rib. And he made Eve kind of where Adam wasn't by himself. So could this mean that he's trying, or Eto is trying to imply that Kuramoto is alone right now, or that Eto will be for him very soon, or come for him very soon? Many, many ways to take this, but we don't really know the motive. Like, why is Eto doing this to certain selected people? We've only seen two examples. We've only seen Kuro and Shiro, and we saw Kuramoto now. So, why? Now that I've said that, I'll leave it all to you, Fury Crafters, if you want to take that any further, if you have any ideas of why Eto's motive is doing that, besides the biblical symbolism. Okay, page 11. So we move over to Hairu. Okay. Hairu. Got a hole in you. Got a big hole in you. Many were saying, and I was even saying, that Hairu, she got impelled through the gut, and this is Ashita Sensei, and Ashita Sensei, he will kill a character. He has no issues with killing characters. He doesn't. And when I saw Hairu get impelled, there was many Chibits that were saying, like, she is connected to the garden. It's been confirmed that she is connected to the sunlit garden, so we know she has a connection with Arima in the past, and we do get to see an example of this in this chapter, which I will get into, but we know she was connected to garden, so she had a lot of importance as a character. She really was important as a character, but for some reason, she was killed off. So I'll save that for just a second. Let's continue on. You know, to where Haru, she realizes she's in bad shape. She has a hole in her chest. She's bleeding out. And then she has her opponent in front of her. He's like, give it to me now. Give me my weapon, my Quinke. She pulls out the Quinke and she pulls out the T-Human Ukaku. Now, I don't think I need to say the obvious here, but some might need me to say this because some might not have realized what this panel is with Haru using this Quinke. This panel parallels with Arima. Go back to the end of part 1 of Tokyo Ghoul, when Arima fought Eto. You remember Arima used his Quinke. It was really different from what we've ever seen, and the style of it was cool. If you look at the position of the body, the way Haru is positioning herself, a way she's using the weapon, it looks almost exactly identical to what Arima was doing against Eto with his Quinke. So, why would Ishida parallel these two together? Why? Now, we do know Haru likes Arima. Like, she has a connection with him. And you can assume this might be some form of cosplay. Like, she just wants to cosplay as Arima. That's a funnier way you could take this. But there's probably more meaning here. Why is she so similar? Why is she so similar to Arima? Why? Why is that? Why is her stance, the position of her body, along with the way she's using this Quinke, why is it so similar to what Arima did versus Eto? Why? Is Ishida trying to imply that Arima is going to die in the future? Since he made this correlation between these two characters, is he trying to imply that Arima is going to die in a similar way, maybe not the exact same way, but in a similar way as Haru? Is that what Ishida Sensei is trying to imply with this? It could also mean another thing, too. Now, this one, I didn't get this theory. I didn't say this one. This is from a couple of Chibits on Facebook that told me about this one. There's a rumor going around that there is a possibility that Haru could be the sister of Arima. Because we do know Haru has a connection with Arima. We get to see a flashback with Haru very young, seeing Arima. And since there's so many similarities between these two characters in some ways, especially with their Quinke and their body stance, it might be possible that Haru is the sister of Arima. And if that is true, I might explain why at the beginning of the introduction of Haru, when she was first introduced, you remember how she kind of messed up on her name, or she didn't say her full name? You remember that? You remember how she did not say her entire name when Haru was first introduced? I remember that. I had a big discussion on that when she was first brought up. Why? What if she was going to say some form of nickname that was to let them know that she was related to Arima? Think about it. So maybe Haru's death is not really going to be a way to progress her character, but she's going to be used as a way to propel other characters towards their progression. Maybe someone like Arima. Because if Haru is the sister, or really connected with Arima, Arima might start expressing himself, or we might get more character development and characterization to Arima in the future if Haru does have a lot of impact to his life. So, yeah. Now that I've said that, the parallels between Haru and Arima, and it might imply that Arima is going to die, or this is the sister of Arima, whatever the case may be, it's left up to theories for now, but it's still pretty damn crazy what Ishida is trying to imply with this. Now, I have to commend Matsume for being able to defend against the blast that Haru uses. She blocks it with her shield. And Haru is just sitting there puking up blood. She's like, hurry up and die! As she's just puking up blood. So Haru knows she's done. She's just She's fucking done. But she's doing everything she can to complete her mission. So, a little bit of honor points for Haru there for being able to, I guess, continue to fight even though she's on death's door. Honor points there. But Matsume winning this battle, like, what an intense attack will my shield hold against this? The shield barely holds. This is the part where I felt like the true winner of this chapter was shown. You have it to where Myro, he jumps over Matsume, jumps over her shield, and jumps directly into the blast that Haru is using against Matsume. And then this is his words. Take care of Master Shu. He gets split in half. As soon as I saw this, I'm like, what a pathetic way to die. I'm sorry. That's the first thing I thought when I saw this. I'm like, that's a shitty way to die. And when you see Haru, she's just sitting there laughing her ass off. She's like, fucking Haru. But she's sitting there laughing her ass off, and Myro, he gets cut in half. Next page, he's like, body useless. And he's charging. As his body, his lower half has hit the ground. He's just moving with his upper half. His upper fucking half. He's pulling a freezer right now. His upper half is just moving towards Haru. And then all of a sudden we get a flashback. We get an instant flashback of Haru. We see Haru with a smiley, weird face. We get a serious eye. And then we get a younger version of Haru in a garden of some way. And we see a younger version of Arima looking at Haru. Now, this, I want to point out, if you did not know that Haru's outfit she's wearing is very similar to the twins' outfit that she has right now on in this flashback. So this might imply that the twins could have possibly been in garden as well. But for whatever reason is the case, they got kicked out of it, or they didn't meet the requirements, or whatever it may be, Haru was in the garden, and she has a similar outfit to the twins, and so the twins might have been in the garden as well, but got kicked out. So that's what this outfit might mean. Now that I've said that, we get this little flashback with Arima and Haru. This is probably going to be a very crucial moment for Arima in the future, with the death of Haru. Because I don't think Ashita-sensei would show a panel like this if there wasn't something really important going on here that we were unaware of at the moment. And then all of a sudden she smiles, and then her head is gone. What's with Ashita and decapitations recently? Pineapple to fucking Kanye, and then this just... What the fuck is with the decapitations? What the hell? Ashita. So yeah, Haru, if you thought she was alive, nope, she's done. She's GG'd. She's done. She's fucking done. Haru's gone. Got decapitated by Myro. That had no legs. Myro was going through the air and decapitated Haru with no fucking legs. Myro gets the Bro with the Year award. Just to die like that, just to go down, getting cut in half, saving Matsume, dying for his master, and then cutting off Haru's head that could possibly be the sister of Arima, or a person that was a part of Garden. That is fucking ridiculous. So right now, Myro, I'm sad to see that you're going to die, but what you just did was impressive. Something I did not think he would be able to accomplish. I didn't. Not in a million years did I think Myro would be able to even touch someone like Haru, but he did. So, good job. Good job, Myro. Good job for dying for your master and going down like that. I mean, if there's any way I would want to go down, it would definitely be like that. I mean, if you're going to die, and you know you're going to die, I'd rather die, take someone with me, and save my friend Matsume behind me. That's what I would like to do. Okay, so after the death of Haru, which comes as a shock for many fans, I know there's going to be many in the comments that are going to be saying, like, oh my god, Haru just died, why the fuck would Ashita do this? Let's just face the facts here, okay? At the very least, Ashita has the balls to kill off characters. I'm just saying. But even the fan favorites at that, because we do know Haru was a fan favorite character in this arc. and seeing how she died just goes to show you Ishida doesn't really care for fan favorites. If they're fan favorites, he'll just do grit, just fucking cut their head off. Kind of like, you know, the Game of Thrones writer. Okay, so Kijima walks in, and he's like, my, this won't do. Tricking Princess Haru and her men like that. Why would he call her Princess Haru? Okay, and then he's like, and her men like that. He looks at Haru on the ground, sees her head, and he's like, bye-bye, beauty. Shall I get a taste of you as well? With this Quinque, which I also used to chop up Mr. Yuma and the chatty Alisa. That's fucked up right there. So he's pretty much taunting Matsume and Myro like, hey, you see this Quinque? I used this to chop your friends up. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Now that video, they're both dead. So, just seeing that right there, Kijima's just taunting him, just poking at him like, yeah, you see, that's what I did, and I'm probably gonna do this to you. And then all of a sudden, Myro, once again, bro Myro, that is cut in half. Let me emphasize this. He is cut in half Frieza style. He still stabs Kijima while he is down on the ground. His internal organs are hanging out of his upper half. Okay? He no longer has a dick, but he has a bigger dick than some of the characters I have seen. And just to see how he's able to do this, okay? This right here is impressive. And then, he's like, don't underestimate a butler's vitality. I can survive another 20 seconds. So he's holding on to, with sheer will right now. He's willpowering himself from not dying. He's using everything he possibly can to not die, for he can help out Matsume before he dies. And then Kijima, he's like, how? He's like, how is this possible? And then all of a sudden, Matsume charges like, Kijima, fuck off. Or Fankudo. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like, fuck off. Matsume grabs his fucking chainsaw, or his chainsaw falls, I'm sorry, Matsume doesn't grab it. His chainsaw falls in the air and hits him in the face. Just kills him. So, fucking Kijima died, dude. Whoa! Out of all the characters I thought wouldn't die, it would be Kijima, because see, Haru comes as a surprise for many readers of this chapter. I know many readers right now of this chapter are like, holy shit, I don't care about Kijima. Haru is bae. She's the best. And I'm more shocked that Kijima has just died, because he is his design to the game that recently came out with Tokyo Ghoul Gel, to some of the ways they could have took his character, I'm surprised that Ishida killed him. Let alone he killed two characters, Kijima and Haru. And then Shimoguchi in, the last chapter. So, Ishida, he's not holding back for this anniversary. He's like, happy bloody anniversary. That's what Ishida's doing. So yeah, Kijima, he's dead. He is dead. He's dead as dead can be. Like, it is just gone. He was cut in half. Damn. Damn. Just fucking wrecked, dude. He's fucking wrecked. So, a couple more things I want to talk about is that there is a tarot card. That's the first thing I want to mention right now. There is a tarot card, let me go to it, on Ito's face with his sweat. If you look closely on one of the panels, you'll see a 2 on his cheek. You'll see a 2 on his cheek, a bunch is like among his sweat. You'll see like this 2. So I did my own personal research on what this 2 meant, and I believe, even though the 2 is an upright 2, I believe it is the reverse 2, because of the meaning behind the reverse tarot card, High Priestess, that represents the number 2. So let me quickly read a couple passages of this. The reversed High Priestess also suggests in a tarot reading that you are normally an intuitive person who is connected with your inner self, but in recent times you have lost this connection. As we know, Ito, or Kuromoto, he's currently going through this inner crisis to where he doesn't feel like he should be leader. Like, we saw him have this dialogue multiple chapters ago, like before this arc really started kicking off. You may be rushing around and worrying excessively about external issues and other people's problems that you have lost focus on your own needs. That's kind of what he's currently doing. He's been focusing on a lot of other people besides his own self, and that's what's been going on with Ito in recent times. The strong message here is that you need to take some time out for you and you only, so that you can tune into your inner voice and connect once again with your subconscious mind. Meditation or spiritual study may help. Now, here's also another meaning to this. The tarot card can also represent repressed feelings. Kuramoto is experiencing that. An over-reliance on the opinions of others. Sounds like Kuramoto. And an excessive need for approval and validation. What is needed is greater confidence in yourself and deeper knowing that you have the answers already within you and do not need the validation of others. So, I personally believe it is the reversed High Priestess Tarot card for Kuramoto. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But tell me your thoughts on it. Do you think it's the upward tarot card, or do you think it's the reversed? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I think I want to end this review here. It's been pretty damn long. It's going to be around almost 50-something minutes. A lot longer than I thought it would be. Damn. Okay, so a couple things I want to mention, though, before I do this, or end this video. I have a couple of plans in the future. Many Chibits have told me that they would like it if I split these videos into segments and stuff. And I want to bring this up now. This is going to be like my afterthought before I end this, Tokyo Ghoul video. Do you all want me to test out splitting the video of Tokyo Ghoul? Like, let me explain. You know how in this video I talked about Psycho and, how she had this caterpillar fungus and then I focused on Hairu and her connection with, Arima and stuff? Would you guys like it if I split these videos up into different videos, but had more core focus on certain topics? Like, for instance, I can make a video focusing on Psycho and the caterpillar fungus, and then I can make another video that focuses on Hairu and her Arima connection, which it'll be able to allow the Chibits to actually look at the individual videos and watch what you want to watch and find out more about. Because some Chibits might know half of the video already saying, and some might not know the other half. So if I split up some of these into different videos or segments, it would allow you all to enjoy certain parts over the others, since you mainly want to find out more about this stuff than the other stuff. So that is some food for thought. I'm asking all of you Chibits, do you want me to do something like that for the upcoming review or the next review of Tokyo Ghoul? If you don't, give me some suggestions. I'm just very curious, because I love seeing all of your feedback in the comments. It's very fun. And always seeing how you guys theory craft and stuff about after I'm done with, my video, and seeing what you guys think as well. It makes me happy. And also seeing how all of you really like these long reviews I do as well. You don't know how much that means to me. That really does mean a lot. So I'm glad you all support my enthusiasm for Tokyo Ghoul, and thank you for putting up with me. So anyways, you all have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. And sorry for the other reviews being delayed today, because this one's very long. Please be safe. Chibi out.